Hey, how you doing? This is your boy Brogi Naric back again with another episode of TV Aftermath. And in this video, I'll be giving my spoiler thoughts, spoiler review of Umbrella Academy Season 2. If you don't want spoilers, check out the non-spoiler review, which is in the, should be in the annotation. And yeah, I'm going to go full spoilers, but before I get into it, don't forget to give this video a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Still growing, use the help. But yeah, let's get into it. I love this show. This show is great. The first, 5 minutes of this show blew my damn mind. I was not expecting that epicness where it quick shows you what happened at the end of the first season, them going back in time. Only this time they went back to the 60s. I thought they were going to go back to when they were kids because it showed them as kids when they were going through time, but then they end up in 1963. Well, they end up in 1960. From 1960 to 63, which I thought was cool. Like, each one lands at a different time. Klaus was in 1960, then it was like 61, 62, October 63, September, November, all, in a sequence. Like, everyone is at a different time. They're all dispersed, and they have to get back together. Then we see 5 lands, and it's a damn war happening in Dallas. The Russians are in America fighting the U.S. Army. And then we have that awesome sequence where it made me think of Bryan Singer's X-Men, but like awesome. Like they had an actual budget and they could do some real cool stuff where it shows, Klaus coming in with the ghosts and Allison comes in and blows the guys up and Diego does something with his powers, which I was not expecting. I'll get more into that where he, throws the bullets back at everybody and Vanya comes in, blows shit up and Luther takes a rocket and then Hazel comes in. Old man Hazel comes in, pulls a, what is the guy? I can't remember the character's name from Terminator. Not John Connor, but John Connor's dad. He's like, hey, come with me if you want to live. Take some 10 days earlier because, nukes were coming and the world's gone. So he's like, hey, there's a new apocalypse that's coming. A new doomsday is coming. Whatever that was happening in 2019 is now is going to happen in 10 days in 1963 in Dallas. So you got to figure this out. And before Hazel can really explain everything, he gets killed by those assassins. A little sad to not see more of Hazel, Cameron Britton, but I get why he's not here because it's not about him. But I really enjoyed his character, and I like that he was like him and Agnes had a nice life. They had like a good 20 years, and then she died. Because I guess that's the thing they don't really explain about the commission guys. I don't know if they're immortals or super soldiers. I would love an explanation about how do they live so long. Maybe it's because they jump through time. They just don't age as much. I don't know, but I kind of would like an explanation on that. Because they're also really tough, too. But that was cool to see Old Man Hazel. So I'm just going to start with Allison. Allison was great in this season. I loved her in the last season. I was happy that Allison felt love for a black man. Because she's the bullshit her whole life. She was using her powers to try to get the perfect life. And when she ends up back in the 60s, she realizes, like, oh, right, segregation. I like how they showed how when she first lands, she can't talk and she's getting chased and she ends up at the salon. And over time, she works there and then she meets Ray, who's this civil rights activist. Ray is played by Yusuf Gatewood, who I thought I've seen before, but I haven't. He's on the originals on CW. I think it's the originals. He's really good in this. And they form a relationship. They get married. And she's helping him out. She's not using her abilities. This is like the first time she's really like worked hard to truly earn what she has. And she's in a loving relationship. And I thought it was great. And I love how, especially that moment where they have to sit in at the restaurant and then shit goes left and Ray's getting beaten by the cops and she uses her powers to save him. And then he freaks out because he's like, that was weird because that guy was about to kill me. And then you spoke to him and then he walked away like, are you a spy? Are you work with the FBI? Because this shit is weird. Like, I like that. She was great though. I love their relationship. She had more fight sequences. She really, her character grew. I feel, even though she was in this relationship, she still cared about her daughter, which it took a while for them to bring that up. But she does mention, it's like, wait, I still miss my daughter. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love being in a relationship, but I miss my daughter. So she was really cool, and I like her trying to still be nice to Vanya. Like, he still doesn't hold a grudge against Vanya for cutting her throat. Um, I guess next I'll get into. Let's go with Luther. I like Luther. I love Luther. I thought it was interesting in him being the prize fighter, working with Jack Ruby. And he, in a way, finds another. He's still looking for, like, some fatherly approval. So he doesn't have his dad, so he kind of becomes, a father figure from Jack Ruby, which I thought was interesting, even though he's just hustling, because he's super strong. So he just, prize fighting and all that. Very interesting. And I liked, I liked how he like slowly is coming to grips like this whole him and Allison thing might not work out. Like that moment where he finds out he's able to track down Allison and finds out she's married to some guy. Especially, I think also, especially as a black dude, he's kind of like, oh shit, she's like in love. Like, man, this is just not gonna work out for us. Like every time he wants to be with her, he is like something is in the way. Which is great, and I love all his moments. Him with number five, him and Five's chemistry is awesome. All that stuff with them later on with the old number five, with both number fives, his chemistry is great with both of them, and his chemistry is also really good with Diego. I'm not gonna talk about Diego yet. We'll talk about Vanya. Vanya, Ellen Page does an even better job than what she did in the last season. Because in the last season, her character was very reserved, very meek, very shy, and it's very kind of out of it. And you realize that's because she was on drugs. Like she was on these drugs that blocked out her powers and also dulled her senses. So in this version, she's a little springier. She's not, she's not like, doing Juno or anything, but she's definitely much more springier, much more lively in this performance. And also she has amnesia because she got hit by a car. But I love the whole thing where it's like she could solve her amnesia, but she's purposely not wanting to know what her past life was because she's scared. And as the little bits of information she gets, she's like, I don't want to know. Like, apparently I did something bad. I don't want to know. I'm loving this weird relationship I have with this woman who's in this, what was her name? Sissy, who was played by Marin Ireland, who does a very good job. She's this woman in Dallas who's in this loveless marriage, and she's confused. She doesn't want to be with this guy. She wants to. It's kind of like, the 60s feminist movie. She doesn't really want to be a housewife. She just wants to do something else, but she has a son, and her son has a mental illness. I'm not exactly sure what you would call it. I'm not even going to say, I don't know, but her son Harlan has a mental illness, and she wants to take care of him, but then she's starting to have these feelings for Vanya, and Vanya's like, hey, let's run away. All of that stuff was good. The stuff with the husband Carl was good. I thought Carl was going to be more of an asshole than he actually was. Like, I thought he was like secretly cheating, but he's just a guy he's a salesman trying to work. Now he has a douchebag because of the whole him being prejudiced towards lesbians, but other than that, he was kind of like for a white dude in the 60s in Dallas, he didn't seem like the worst guy, but he was still an ass. So, but yeah, and I love the whole revelation. Like, she's no matter what time period, Vanya is the bomb. She's always going to be the bomb, and she's causes the new doomsday. She when she gets captured by the FBI because they think she's a spy because she's actually the Russian kid that was born at the beginning of episode 1, which I thought was cool because for some reason I thought it was going to be either Klaus or Luther, but it's like she was the Russian kid, and they think she's a spy because her name's Vanya. That's a Russian name. She can speak Russian. You don't know who you are. And then they start torturing her like assholes. They hook her up to the electric chair thing, and they give her LSD, which was cool because she starts tripping, and she goes back in her mind where she sees the family, but they're all adults, but they're dressed in their school uniforms, and they eat brains so she can remember her memories. Like each time she eats it, she regains her memories. I thought that was cool, especially with the dad being like, you don't have amnesia. You just don't want to know the truth. And you're denying yourself. You want to live in a fantasy world, but you need to accept reality. And I love his hard advice, which is very similar to when in season 1 when Klaus talked to his ghost and the dad gave him hard advice too about like, you can be better. You're just, slacking off. I like it was a remix of what they did in the first season, but I like the visuals of this one with the whole the brain stuff and all of that. Let's do Klaus. Okay, so Klaus. Klaus starts a cult, calls it Destiny's Children, which I thought was funny. I thought that was really funny. It was called Destiny's Children, and he just stood of saying deep quotes. He's just saying Destiny Child lyrics and other pop music. Like both him and Ben just say pop star lyrics. But he becomes a cult. He can talk to the dead. He can he runs into this rich old lady who he becomes her boyfriend, and then once she dies, she leaves him the mansion, and he just starts, because he knows what happens in the future, so he's just telling everybody everything to make it seem like he's a prophet. And then about about 2 years, he gets bored with it, and he tries to sneak away from the group. And Ben is pissed off because Ben is tired of seeing Klaus being the degenerate that he is, but also there was this girl in the cult named Jill that he has a crush on, and he somehow wants to get with her, even though he's a ghost. He doesn't have a body, but he wants to get with this girl, Jill. Yeah, and I loved how Klaus, he leaves to go back to Dallas so he can run into, what's his name, David? It was David, right? Yeah, to run into David, who was his boyfriend when he accidentally traveled to Vietnam, ended up fighting in Vietnam, and they were fighting together, and they fell in love, and then David died in Vietnam. He goes back to try to tell David, or convince David not to enlist because he's going to die, because he knows the reason he enlisted was, well, at the day JFK died, he enlisted, and also being influenced by his uncle, who Klaus says is a closeted gay man. They don't really confirm that or not, but Klaus could have just been being shitty. But him being a soldier is going to make him more of a man, and he's trying to talk him out of that so he doesn't die. I didn't see that coming, but when he goes to that paint shop and it's David, I was like, oh shit, like, oh God, it's David. Like, oh wait, I see what's going here. And the whole moment where David, influenced by his uncle, punches him, and then Klaus goes on a bender. That was interesting stuff. And of course, the moment where David comes back and basically tells him, like, I already enlisted. Like, he enlists before it was supposed to happen. They basically start fucking up the timeline, which is gonna happen when you're in the past for 3 years. You're gonna mess things up. But that stuff was great. Robert Sheehan is hilarious, and Ben is the MVP of this team and of the show, really. His character is really great. I love him for the little bits that he had in the first season, but he shines even more so in this season. Him and Klaus's chemistry is hilarious. I love when Ben figures out that he can possess Klaus, and then Klaus allows him to do it. And that whole weird moment where he's like, getting involved with the environment and stuff, and then he starts talking to Jill, and it's revealed to him that Jill, Klaus, and some other person had a threesome with a sex swing, and Ben's like, oh, dude, like, what the and that was so funny. And like, Ben's a virgin, so like, she's like, you want to do it? He's like, I'm not the person you think I am. All that stuff was great. And of course, when Ben sacrifices himself, when Vanya is being tortured and her powers are activating, and she causes doomsday because when JFK's coming in the Dealey Plaza, there's an explosion, so he doesn't die, but the explosion happens and America blames the Russians. That leads to the war, but it's actually Vanya who blows up the building and kind of sets things in motion. Ben is the one with like Vanya. It's Klaus, Allison, and Diego trying to stop her, but they can't get into the building, into the room, because she's like killing everyone and shooting out the energy. Once Klaus opens the door, Ben goes in, possesses her, goes into her mind, and she's like inside like a white violin, which is her code name in the comics. And he talks to her and tells her like, hey, don't be upset. You can conquer your fears. You can conquer your fears. Dad was afraid of you because he didn't know how to control you. The only one who can control you is you. You just have to, be responsible and actually, take control of yourself. And then he passes on. Like, that was like the last bit of, I guess, I think it was like he sacrificed his life for her, and he tells her to tell Klaus, like, he kept telling Klaus that Klaus was the reason why he wouldn't go away, but it's like, actually he stayed because he was too scared to go into the afterlife. But at this point, since he got to talk to mostly everybody, or to some of the others, he was willing to go away. And I thought that was a great moment. And I was like, oh, damn, Ben's gone. What are they going to do for the next season? But I'll talk about that later. Okay, so we talked about them. Okay, so Diego. I love Diego. He was my favorite character in the first season. This season, not so much. Although I still love the character, but this season really showed like Diego's really dumb. Like Diego's a lot unhinged than I thought he was in the first season. But he's very one-track minded. His whole goal is to save JFK, no matter what. Save JFK. And once he thinks that their dad is involved, which he kind of is in the death of JFK, he's like, we got to stop Dad. Well, no, he's like, we got to kill Dad because Dad's going to kill JFK. His relationship with Lila, who is played by Ritu Arya, who I've never seen before. She's great. And this is one of the things where I'm talking about Diego's kind of slow. Because Diego is locked in an asylum in Dallas, Texas in 1963. He befriends this woman who at first I thought was Mexican, but then as it went on, I was like, as she kept talking, I'm like, wait, she has a British accent. She's Indian. And I'm just like, not to be prejudiced or anything, but it's like, why is there an Indian woman in a sane asylum in Dallas, Texas in 1963? Like, something about that didn't add up. If Diego was thinking, he would have thought that wouldn't add up either. But surprise, surprise, she's a spy. She works for the commission. And even more so, she's the handler's daughter. Not her biological daughter, but like she's been raised by the handler to be her daughter. She's this super spy, which I thought was cool. I knew something was up. But she's also weird too. Her and Diego are close. They bang once. They've known each other for a couple of months. So she calls him his boyfriend. He calls her his girlfriend. So whatever. They boyfriend and girlfriend. But she's funny. I liked all of her interactions. She's a great actress, and I liked her character. And the other character, Elliot, who was the guy that they were working with, who was the conspiracy theorist, he was cool too. I like that character. He was funny. I like that character. So the moment when Diego's tracking down his dad and he gets into the fight in the kind of the alley somewhere, but he gets stabbed by the dad and almost dies. That shit was cool. Yeah, Diego should have realized something was up when Leela somehow knew how to heal his stab wound. Like, come on. But anyway, which I thought was suspicious too. I'm like, how did she know how to heal his stab wound? But also the revelation that she's one of the special kids that were born on that. It was 43 kids born around the world who had superpowers. Only seven of them are in the Umbrella Academy. She's one of the ones that isn't. And I thought that was a great revelation that she has powers. And her ability is, she can mirror, I guess, anyone's ability, but she copies the Umbrella Academy's abilities, which you may think is a little lazy. You could knock it for that, but her character is interesting enough. And the show does call it out. Klaus calls it out like, oh, she just mimics Vanya's powers. That's unoriginal, which I thought was funny. But she's a great character. And the whole revelation where the handler is tricking her to think that Five killed their parents because the boss, AJ, okayed it as opposed to her setting it up so she can steal her to raise her. Basically make her own Umbrella Academy. But, she's slowly doing it. But anyway, Kate Walsh is the handler. Great. Hilarious. Lovely in this. She's a great villain, and I love her hiring number 5 to kill the board of directors, and number 5 actually goes through with it, which that was a really cool sequence. Well, that was a good sequence where he goes, because they're hiding out throughout time, and they're in like Wisconsin in 1982. He goes there at this like lodge, and there's like a polka. It's either either an Oktoberfest or some weird polka convention that's going on. And he goes into the lodge and he ends up killing everybody. He's like teleporting through them with the axe and taking everyone out. And then he doesn't kill the guy. What was his name? AJ Carmichael, I think, who's like a fish. They don't explain it. That was weird. He's a fish in a dome with a robot body, which is from the comics, but different. He's actually the handler in the comics. Like the handler's not a woman in the comic; it's the fish dome guy. But in the show, it's a different character. So yeah, they're taking elements and switching it around. Aidan Gallagher as Five is great. Once again, does a great job. Doesn't disappoint, and I love the moment where he meets the stuff of him and his older self. What was it called? Paradox psychosis, where the closer you get to yourself in time, you get these symptoms. It's like 7 symptoms. I can't remember them all. I know it's like sweating, itching, increased gas, paranoia. I think it was like dry. What was it? It was something else, and then the other one is homicidal rage. That's the last one. And that moment where they snap on each other and they're trying to kill each other because they don't trust each other. Because he's trying to convince the old looking version of himself to go through the portal again, but not to screw up the calculations where he would look like a 13-year-old version of himself, so they can fix the timeline properly. And they have to convince him, and Luther makes the decision to stick with the younger looking Five to make it work, but it doesn't work quite as well because they needed his briefcase, but as a result, the briefcase gets destroyed when he finally sends him through the portal. And then, of course, we see JFK dies normally, but like the Umbrella Academy are wanted because they're implicated somehow. They're implicated because, Vanya killed all the FBI agents and they know about them too. So the timeline is kind of the same, but not the same. And one of the things I forgot that I really liked was the stuff of Grace. The stuff with Grace was awesome. When Diego is at that party for at the consulate to try to stop the Majestic 12, which is this weird sort of Illuminati group that the dad is a part of. He sees this woman there who looks like Grace, who is the cyborg that is their mom. But it turns out Grace was an actual woman, which I was glad that they explained that, because I was wondering, was she an actual woman or not? Grace was an actual woman. She apparently was a NASA scientist, and she worked on the science team that sent a chimp into space. Turns out that chimp was Pogo, who was the assistant of Hargreaves that helps raise the kids as well. And we see Pogo's origin, him going into space and him getting injured. Reginald gives him a serum, which I'm assuming is the same serum he used on Luther to bring Luther back, and it changes Pogo, and then that's how he starts to develop more intelligence and becomes Pogo as we know him. And it's like Grace and Reginald were like raising their own child together to a degree. I thought that was nice, seeing all of that. And then Diego kind of screwing up the timeline by letting her know that, hey, I think Reginald's up to something shady, which I'm pretty sure is going to have a big effect on what's going to happen in the next season with the newer team. But I love all that exploration and seeing a softer side of their father. And also when we actually do officially reveal that, yes, he is an alien. That moment where he goes back after the death of Kennedy and he's like upset with the Majestic 12 because they were going to stop Kennedy, but he didn't know they were going to actually kill Kennedy, and he didn't want that to happen, and he's upset with them, and as a result, he just peels off his alien face. We don't see it, but we see it from behind that he's an alien. He peels off his Hargreaves face and just kills everyone in the room. That shit was cool. Holy hell. That was dope as hell. Yeah, I was just blown away by that. That was really sweet. And let's see. Oh, that's right, Harlan. Stuff with Harlan. Vanya saves Harlan. He runs away. He ends up drowning. Vanya breathes life into him, somehow transferring some of her powers. That was interesting. And they kind of got a mind connection. Whenever she was freaking out, he started freaking out, and that led to the dad wanting to send him away, and the mom tells him to stop. They get into a fight, accidentally fires the rifle. Bullet goes towards Harlan. He bounces it back and it kills the dad. Yeah, my jaw dropped when that happened. I was just surprised that happened. I was like, oh, damn. And then he's out of control. So the team has to help Vanya go save him, which I love that moment where they kind of fake you out thinking they're not going to help her, which I was about to get pissed. I'm like, you guys, why are you being shitty to Vanya? Do you not realize that being shitty to Vanya is what caused her to destroy the world in the first place? They do learn their lesson. They go with her to the farm, and we end up having this cool battle at the farm. It's all snowy because his sound powers is affecting the atmosphere, so it's snowy in the middle of the desert, but whatever. Handler shows up with Lila. Lila, she thinks that Five killed her family because he was told to by AJ Carmichael. And also earlier, there was a whole thing where they had to leave at a certain time. It was part of their deal with part of Five's deal with the handler, but that didn't work out. So, because mostly everybody was stuck in their own shit, and Allison was getting attacked by the two brothers, which the handler sets the brothers up. She sets them up and kills one of them, and then Allison ends up killing the other by rumoring one of the brothers to kill the other brother, which was pretty fucked up. And so he's out for revenge, and Lila's there. She's out for revenge on Five. They bring in the whole army of the other assassins, which was awesome, where they all pop up and start shooting at them. And that's when we get that moment where we see Diego's powers are a little different than what we thought they were. Like, at least what I thought they were. I thought he has like good aim and he can control it, but it's like any projectile that's coming at him, he can control. So that moment where he like stops all the bullets and then turns them in the other direction, I thought was cool. I would love to see more of that. It's basically like Neo in the Matrix, which was really cool. Wasn't expecting that. And Vanya comes out after she kind of stops Harlan for a little bit, blows everybody away. This a whole field of people just kills them right there. And we see Leela's there in a force field similar to Vanya's, surrounded with her mom. And then she does the exact same thing and blows all of them back. And it's like, wait, what the hell? And at first I was like, oh, she has Vanya's powers? It's kind of lame. I was like, okay, maybe she's one of them, but it's like, why does she have Vanya's power? But then it's like, no, she has all of their powers. I'm like, oh, she can mimic their powers. That was pretty cool when that was revealed. Like, she fights Luther, she throws his ass through the house. That moment where she is fighting Allison, and Allison tries to rumor her, but then she reverses it and tells her I heard a rumor you couldn't breathe, you stopped breathing, and then she's struggling to breathe. That was really good. That was a really good moment. I love that. That was dope. And Luther, revives her with the CPR to bring her back. It's always awkward between those two. What happened? So yeah, her and Five are fighting, and Vanya ends up stopping Harlan. Because the handler's trying to kidnap him because she's going to use him to be a part of her new army that she's starting. They're all in the farm talking, explaining to Lila that the handler set Five up. She was the one that had him kill her family so she could take her, and she's stuck. And then next thing you know, out of nowhere, the handler walks in with a machine gun and just guns everyone down, except for Lila. But she kills everyone, or at least she thinks she does. Five isn't dead quite yet, and the Swiss assassin dude, he comes in and kills the handler, but Five is still alive, and he remembers what the father told him. I forgot about that. That moment where they had the dinner with the dad, fucking great. I love it. Where he is tired of them messing with him, and he just all invites him to dinner so he can figure out who the hell these people are who keep following him. And they're like, "You're our dad. We're from the future. We have powers." And he's just like, he's not buying into it. But then once he starts to see, he's like, "Okay, you guys have powers, but I don't buy you as my kids because A, I wouldn't raise kids, and B, if I did raise kids, they wouldn't be complete fuck ups like all you completely are." And so there's a moment where he talks down to Diego, and Diego reverts back to a little child, and he starts stuttering again. That was heartbreaking. But he has a moment with Five where he tells him hey, if you're still focusing on decades, focus on seconds. Like, if you can't travel too far, just focus on something small. You can change things with seconds. And he takes that lesson and he goes back a couple seconds, and goes back in time. So they're still talking to Lila, but he's over in the corner. So when the handler walks in, he takes the gun from her, shoots her. No, takes the gun from her so she can't do anything. And then the assassin comes in and shoots her. And then he's about to kind of shoot Allison, but like Five kind of talks him down. It's like, hey, we're not going to mess with you. And he's like, all right, I'm not going to mess with you. So he leaves. So he's gone. Lila steals the handler's briefcase, and she gets out of there because Luther was about to stop her, but Diego stops him, so she gets away. And then they go save Harlan. Vanya takes the power out of Harlan, so she thinks. Apparently, he still has a little bit left. I want to see how that's going to go. And so, what's the guy? The guy Herb. He becomes the new leader of the commission, for like temporary leader of the commission, the new chairman of the commission. And Sissy decides to stay in the past. Understandable, like even though things could be good for her in the future, she's like, I would love to go into the future with you, Vanya, but you live a crazy life, and can you honestly promise me that your life, me going into the future, is going to be safer than me just staying here in the past? And she's like, shit, I really can't promise you that. So she's like, all right, don't worry about it. I'm going to California. Everything's going to be fine. But like I said, Harlan still has powers. And that can be very dangerous, especially, I have my theories on that. So they use the briefcase. Everyone, settles all their problems. Luther tries to call Jack Ruby. He doesn't get some. I don't think Klaus doesn't get to go back to his cult, but his cult, one of the guys takes over the cult. Allison leaves a note for Ray, tells him, hey, keep hope alive. Shit's gonna get weird in the next couple of decades, but keep fighting the good fight, and I love you. And Vanya, says goodbye, and so they go into the present, which is 2000. April 2nd, 2019, which is the day after the apocalypse, which was April 1st, 2019. So they're like, shit, we did it. It worked out. They go into the house, and then they start to notice there's a picture of Ben over the fireplace, which wasn't always there. Then Reginald pops up, and he's like, I was waiting for you. And they're kind of like, oh, shit, we thought you would be dead. And he's like, why would I be dead? And they're like, oh, no reason. And it's just good to see you back at home. And he's like, this isn't your home. And they're like, what are you talking about? We're the Umbrella Academy. He's like, no, this isn't your home. This is the Sparrow Academy. And then Ben shows up. Ben is back. Ben is alive. But he looks like a douchebag. And he's got barely a mustache, which I thought was funny. He's got a scar. And he's like, who are these assholes? And then we see this other group on the staircase. We can't see them, but they're shadows. And it's like, it's a new team. And of course, they all like, oh shit. And that was cool. It's like somehow the timeline is screwed. I don't know if it's, now that's the thing. I don't think it's all of them in different versions of them. I don't think it's going to be like a mirror version of themselves like Star Trek. I think it's like almost like a mostly different team, because the Sparrow Academy is from the comics, and the Sparrow Academy is like, there's the Umbrella Academy, and then there's like another team that are made up from the other kids that were with powers, and they're called the Sparrow Academy. And we don't know if they're good or bad because they haven't written that part. That's like volume 4 of the comic, which hasn't come out yet. They just did volume 3 like a couple months ago, so volume 4 isn't out yet, and that's going to focus on the Sparrow Academy. So it's not known if they're good or bad, but they are a group. They seem good from the most part, but they're other kids that were given powers on the same day that they were born. But in this, I think it's going to be a mix of other kids and alternate versions of the main characters. And I kind of think Harlan, an old man Harlan, is going to be one of those members. I kind of got a feeling that Hargreaves is going to track that kid down, because he's like, oh, you remind me of the girl that I saw. Let me help you. I got a feeling he's going to be on the team. Just my theory. But it's going to be interesting to see who are the other people on this team. Because like I said, I don't think it's just going to be a straight up like doppelganger version of them, but Ben's alive. I think it's going to be some other people mixed in with that team. And that's going to be fun to see how they deal with that. Like I said, love this show. Great. Those are most of the things I had to talk. I know there's some other stuff I left out. Doesn't matter. Let me know what was some of your favorite things about this season. Things you like, things you hated. Because I can't really think of anything I really hated. That's what is. I love this show. I really did. I've been trying to think of stuff I hated, and I really honestly can't. Let me know what was some stuff you hated in the show. Because maybe I'm just too high on what I'm watching. But like I said, I had no complaints about this. This shit is great. It's the closest thing to good X-Men to a degree that we've had in a while. So it just this fills that X-Men hole in my heart, and it's really good. It's really great. Like I said, that moment where they all them all in the black outfits. I was like, this is kind of like some early 2000s shit, but it was cool though. I loved it. Yeah, I can't wait to see more with Lila. I got a feeling Lila might be on the team. Who knows? But then again, maybe an alternate version of Lila because she still has a time. She's got a briefcase, so she could be anywhere in time. Like I said, I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with the next season. It might be a combination of Volume 3 and Volume 4, which would be cool, I guess, from what I heard about Volume 3 of the comic. But yeah, awesome show. Check it out. That's all I gotta say for it. If you like this video, hit the like button, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Still growing. Use the help. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Peace.